Hello and welcome to TSM CIS 603 Project Management course. My name is Dr. Vlad Krotov and I will be your instructor for this course. This course is delivered 100% online. This means that most of the materials that you will need and most of the activities that you will perform in this course are all available to you online through our course Canvas page and some related platforms such as YouTube. This course is asynchronous. What I mean by that is that all of the materials, all of the assessments, all of the tasks are posted for you on Canvas from day one. You will need to proceed through this course in a linear fashion by completing one assignment, one task, one module at a time. While you can do things more or less at your own convenient time, there is a deadline associated with each of the assessment component of this course. For example, for every module that you cover or chapter that you cover, there's a quiz that you need to take at a particular time. And most of those quizzes are due at the end of the week for which a particular module is assigned on Sundays. So that's what I mean by asynchronous. This video is not meant to replace the syllabus. I'm still requiring you to read the syllabus very carefully. Syllabus, as you well know at this stage of your career, is a very important class document that outlines all the requirements and expectations for this course. So in a way, a syllabus is like a written contract that instructors use to clearly outline their expectations and also to remind students if they're not meeting a particular part of their expectations. So this video is not meant to replace the syllabus. What this video is meant to accomplish is to help you get started with the course, in particular to help you get started with the Canvas page. I already mentioned that pretty much everything that you need for this course is already posted to Canvas. So what I will do, I will go over some of the most essential elements of our course Canvas page. So please follow me. The view that you have may be slightly different because I'm an instructor and I may have a slightly different layout, but the parts, the components that you see on the screen will be pretty much identical to what you will see in your particular layout that you have as a student. So here at the very top of the page you have announcements. Announcements are very important messages that I would like to send to all of you. I promise I will not be like a spammer. I'm not going to send too many of those messages. But if it's something very important, something that is essential to your performance in this course, then I will go ahead and write an announcement. So for example, I will write an announcement to remind you about major deadlines and major assessment components, such as your midterm exam and your final exam and your final project submission deadline. So those are the kind of things I use announcements for. Okay, so typically you will see announcements at the top of the page. When you click on an announcement, you will see the full text, and also you will be able to submit your comments if you need to, if you want to comment on something, if you want to say something. Okay. Now here at the top of the page, I have a link to the video that I'm recording right now. You know, if you're watching this video, it means you already clicked on this link. But if you ever want to revisit all those things that I said about the course in this video, you can always click on that link and it will bring you to our YouTube channel where this video is posted. Here at the very top, I have general course discussions. If you have a question related to the course that doesn't fit into any of the modules, for example, your question is not related to your individual project, it's not related to chapter 1, it's something in relation to the entire course, then post your questions here. Also, I would like to emphasize, just like I'm emphasizing this in the syllabus, if you have a question, it's better to related to the course, right? I'm underlining this phrase, related to the course. It's better to post your question to Canvas. If you post your question to Canvas, then I will never lose your question. You know, like it happens with emails all the time. Sometimes you skip a particular email or you forget to check your spam inbox, something like that, and you never read a particular email. If you post it here, it will always be here, and I may still overlook it, but it will be here. I will eventually find it. So if it's something related to the course, post your questions into an appropriate discussion thread. So for example, if you have a question about chapter 1, then post your question here. If you have a question about chapter 2, then post your question here. If you have any questions about your individual project, then post your question here. Okay. So there is a discussion thread for asking questions for each of the modules, for each of the components of this course, okay, including for the entire course as a whole. So please do that. Also, feel free to respond to questions or comments from your peers. In fact, this is highly encouraged, and there's a great component for it. If you look at the syllabus, you will see that your online participation is 8% of your final grade. So you need to participate in this course from day one by posting your questions or comments, responding to other people's questions and comments. Now, I admit, as the syllabus say, this grade is very subjective. I cannot think of some kind of formula that would give me a reliable way to grade somebody's online participation. Just make sure you keep in mind this: both quantity and quality counts. In other words, if you just spam our Canvas page with irrelevant questions, you're not going to get a good grade, right? However, if you're making some very good, insightful comments once in a while and asking good questions once in a while, then most likely you'll get a very high grade. Now, as I mentioned already, unfortunately, this grade component is very subjective. It's solely, and I admit that, it's solely based on my impression of you, right? Now, luckily, I tend to remember student names and what they wrote, the kind of discussions I had with them. So I wouldn't say it's a completely biased and objective grade that I assign at the end of the semester. But nevertheless, please be understanding of the fact that it's not like based on any kind of formula. It's based on my subjective impression. So please make sure you make a good impression on me and your peers when it comes to the discussions that you participate in as a part of this course. Now, to get started with this course, I require you to introduce yourself. So click on the introductions discussion thread and tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us your name. Tell us about your hobbies, about your work experience. Tell us what you're hoping to learn in this course. This is just to introduce everyone to the entire course and help us to get to know each other from the very beginning and get started with our communication. Also, as you proceed through this course, again, I would like to emphasize it once again. If you have any questions, including questions about this first module that you need to go through during the first week of the semester, so post your general questions here. Now, this is a very important module that I'm asking you to go through usually during the first week of the semester, and the deadline for everything is August 19th, because this is when you need to take a quiz based on this module. So this module, and by module I mean like a collection of materials and activities, just like any other module, has a quiz at the end, right? So there's a chapter 1 module right here. It has a quiz. So this kind of tells you by when you need to complete all of those materials, okay? Now, your individual project, your project management plan does not have a quiz. It has a final submission that is due towards the end of the semester. So all the deadlines are already posted for those submission and quiz links. So start with the introduction to the course module. It's very important to get started with the course on the right foot, right? So that you know all the requirements, all the regulations, all the expectations. The first document that you need to read is the syllabus. I already mentioned that this video is not meant to replace the syllabus. Please make sure you read about all the course content components and requirements in the syllabus. Optional, read about my bio. Here you have just a few PowerPoint slides that tell you about my background, about my research, about my experience. You will never be tested over it. I will never ask you questions about my bio. I will ask you a question about my name. So you need to remember my name, which is Dr. Vlad Krotov. Okay, so you need to know the name of the instructor teaching your course. So you'll be quizzed over the name only. Okay. After that, I'm asking you to read the following 3 articles: Chaos Report, IT Project Management, Infamous Failures, Classic Mistakes, and Best Practices. This is an MIS quarterly executive article. And then my own work on project management. It's a teaching case called Natural Springs. It's a very exciting, in my opinion, story about a failed ERP implementation project at a company based in Russia. Read those 3 papers, okay? I will be mentioning those papers a lot in my video lectures, so I'll be referring to the Natural Springs case a lot. I'll be referring to the Chaos Report as well. In fact, your textbook refers to this Chaos Report, and there will be some questions during quizzes and even midterm exam perhaps. that assess your understanding of some of the main findings or ideas in this report. Also, I'd like to tell you that anyone in project management has heard about this chaos report. So it's something very important to the field of project management. And then this, this article is a great read that will give you a quick introduction into the best practices and worst practices of project management, because it also talks about mistakes. Okay, so it's a good introduction to the entire field of project management. Also, I would like to bring your attention that we have our own YouTube channel. So here's the link. So when you click on this YouTube channel link, you will see all the videos related to this course posted to YouTube. Mostly or entirely, I'm talking about videos related to chapters. Okay, so what happens is that we have a textbook for this course, and I've noticed what many students, successful students, do. They read each chapter first themselves, and then they watch my video lecture over that chapter, where I have PowerPoints and I lecture over PowerPoints to kind of review and integrate what they have read in the chapter. So you need to do both. But as you can see, I'm duplicating the content using several channels. First of all, as we cover chapters, there is this textbook channel that you can use for learning things. Right? You can read the textbook. In fact, I require and highly encourage you that. There are also video lectures on YouTube over those chapters that I created. And also there are PowerPoint slides for each chapter that you can also use as notes and review tools. So for example, here you have chapter 1 slides, you have chapter 1 YouTube presentation, and then once you complete everything, you need to take the quiz. Okay, I'll let you decide how to use those materials. But again, I would like to repeat one more time that my impression is that successful students, they read chapters, they both read chapters and also watch my video presentations on YouTube. Okay. So here's the link to all of the course videos. Now, this quiz that you need to take for this module is based on a software called Respondus Lockdown Browser. So basically, it's a browser. It's a browser with several security features that are meant to prevent students from cheating. Again, it's not that I'm suspecting you of the possibility of cheating in the future. It's just that something that I can use, to make the course fair to everyone, in case somebody decides, maybe not necessarily in this course, but in general, to get an unfair advantage of others. So make sure you read about this software. There's not much to learn, really. It's a software that you need to install in order to take this quiz, midterm exam, and final exam. Now, the thing is, when you look at other quizzes, they don't have this lockdown feature. It's only this quiz that has this feature that requires you to use lockdown browser. I'm doing it on purpose to make sure that you get a hold of this lockdown technology from day one, so that you are not stressed out when the deadline for the midterm exam comes up, right? So you have everything ready. Also, to take this quiz, you need to have a working webcam. So in other words, you need to have a web camera, and the camera needs to be working. Your computer needs to be connected to the internet, because this lockdown browser, it will use this webcam as a part of some of the security procedures. For example, it will ask you, to show your ID to the web camera. You need to do it like this. Just show your ID to the camera. Yeah, that's another thing. You need to have your ID with you when you take this quiz, and also when you take your midterm and final exams. So make sure you read this handout, and then when the time comes, you'll have an opportunity to practice all of those things by taking this quiz. And I hope you understand this is just like a practice quiz about this module. The stakes are not very high. Each quiz is 1% of your final grade. Okay. So you have a total of 13 quizzes, and I will drop the lowest grade. So we're talking about 12% of your final grade for all quizzes. By the way, this quiz is timed. You have only one attempt for it. Again, I'm doing it on purpose so that you can practice for the format of the midterm and final exams, because your midterm and final exams will also be one attempt timed quizzes. Okay, so make sure you keep that in mind. Once you start, you cannot resume. I mean, you cannot somehow save it and then go back to it in a few days. Now, I think if something gets interrupted, let's say your internet connection gets interrupted, I think there's a way to resume. Well, I'm sure there's a way to resume, so don't be stressed out about this. Now, note that all other quizzes, like Chapter 1, Chapter 2 quiz, and so forth, Once again, they don't have those security features, and they also have they're not timed, and they also have 2 attempts. So if you take a quiz and you miss some questions, you can always retake it, right? And you can always get 100% because you have 2 attempts. So as you can see, those are not real quizzes, the kind of quizzes that instructors give in class to put some pressure on students. It's not like that. My quizzes are more like self-study, self-exploration tools so that you know and what you don't know from a particular chapter. And also those quizzes will prepare you for the format of the midterm and final exams, because combined the midterm and the final exams are 40% of your grade. So those questions will tell you what you can expect. The only the only exception is that some midterm, maybe both midterm and final exam may include a couple, maybe a few of open-ended essay questions where I'll ask you something in relation to a particular case. If I do that, I will announce that in advance. So most likely I will ask you some questions about this natural springs case that you need to read, that I'm requiring you to read. Those questions will be a part of your grade, but I would like to explain that this is something that is related to assurance of learning, meaning the quality assurance data that we need to report. So I need to assess your qualitative understanding of some of the course concepts. So don't be too scared about it, because as I said, those questions will not be a big grade component. Okay, so this is how this course is organized. You go through this course one module at a time. Each module has a deadline. So for example, after you complete all those modules, including the Scrum module and chapters 1 through 5, you will take the midterm exam. So when you have after September 30th, you see it's like a 1-week window, so you can review all those chapters, you can review all those materials before you take the actual midterm exam. Okay. Now, I highly encourage you to start working on your individual project, which is a project management plan, from day one. This course, as the syllabus mentions, has the so-called service learning component. As a part of this individual project, I'm asking you to create a project management plan for real organization. It can be an organization where you're working at currently. It can be an organization that you're somehow affiliated with, for example, your university like Murray State, or your church, or any other formal or informal organization that you're somehow related to. So in a way, you'll be acting as a consultant, meaning you'll be looking at this organization and trying to figure out what will work best for them, what kind of organizational problem can be addressed by carrying out an IT or telecommunications project. So this project is 40% of your final grade. You'll be working on this project throughout the semester. So make sure you take it seriously, and make sure you start working on it from day one, from the very first week of the semester. This is the kind of rubric I will use to grade your project once you submit it. So I highly recommend you look at this rubric to see what kind of things I'm looking for. Also, I may not be able to give you a good grade if I cannot understand your writing. So if you want to see if you want to read about some of the tips on effective writing, then I suggest you open this handout that I created. Also, your individual project will require you to create certain project management artifacts such as Gantt chart, networking diagram, work breakdown structure. Although I'm not requiring you to do this in Microsoft Project, I'm highly encouraging you to use the software called Microsoft Project for creating those documents. It may take you some time, but not too much time to learn the software a little bit. There are some YouTube tutorials where you can quickly learn how to use Microsoft Project, like in 20 minutes, maybe 1 hour max. Once you invest the time, not only you will have some familiarity with the software that is widely used in project management, you can quickly generate some of the documents for your project management plan. So this is something you'll learn later, but just to jump forward a little bit, Microsoft Project will make it very easy for you, first of all, to create your work breakdown structure, which is the list of tasks for your project. Once you enter all those tasks, once you create a work breakdown structure, you can quickly generate a Gantt chart and a networking diagram. So you won't have to draw anything in PowerPoints. Some people, instead of using Microsoft Project, they draw like a diagram, networking diagram, in using Microsoft PowerPoint. And maybe this is justified if it's a very small project, right? But if the project is a bit bigger than like let's say a simple router upgrade, then there will be a lot of tasks, and that's when this Microsoft Project software makes things very useful. Those instructions on how you can download Microsoft Project for free. We have an account with Microsoft that allows all of our students to download some of their software. That includes Microsoft Project. So read those instructions and download the software at some point. Okay. Also, I highly encourage you to share with me your individual project ideas as soon as you can. So post your idea here saying, look, this is what I'm thinking about working on. I'll give you my feedback. I don't require you to get my approval, although I highly encourage you to do that. I'm okay with any organization, any topic that you work on, as long as this idea that you have meets several criteria. First of all, it needs to be related something to IT telecommunications. I mean, it cannot be something related to manufacturing, pure manufacturing, or something that is not IT, right? I mean, it's okay to work on a system for manufacturing, let's say some kind of inventory control system. But if your project involves, I don't know, buying and installing manufacturing machinery at the factory, then it's not IT really. So it has to be something related to IT. Number two, it has to be something small and manageable. In other words, don't make any ambitious plans. Don't tell me that you're gonna install an information system that will automate all aspects of the operations of Murray State University. I mean, that's too broad. I mean, it's too big of a project. You will have hard time wrapping your brain around a project of that size. So make sure the scope is small. Don't automate everything at MSU. Focus, I don't know, on something smaller. Let's say electives, automating the process of selecting electives, something like that. Something that is very small. Okay. And number three, it has to be something that is important for your work. I mean, I'm hoping that this project will somehow benefit your work. Ideally, I would like, if you're working somewhere, I would like you to plan for something that is useful for your organization. So that would be great. It would be great that you can, if you can directly relate this course to your work. If not, it can still be like somewhat of a portfolio that you can show to a potential employer, saying, look, this is what I've done, this is what I planned. So make sure it's something related to your current or future career, okay, so that you can benefit from it. If it's something completely unrelated, then you will still learn something about project management by doing this project, but it may not be as useful. So those are the criteria that I use to kind of evaluate your project ideas. If you get stuck, if you don't have ideas, let me know. Don't be shy. Just tell me like what are some of the thoughts that you have. Maybe I'll try to brainstorm and create a good idea with you, right? So again, you need to be focused on that from day one. Post all of your questions, comments, and concerns here. Okay, so this completes our introductory video. That's pretty much everything I had to say. I would like to wish you best of luck in this semester. Although this is an online course, I'm always here. So make sure you stay in touch with me. Again, the best way to stay in touch with me is by posting questions to Canvas. Of course, if it's something personal, something you don't want others to see, you can send me an email. Okay. So that's how we will communicate. We have a full semester ahead of us, so I hope it goes well. I hope you learn something, and I hope it will also be interesting and exciting in some way. So thank you for listening, and welcome once again.